GoPro has about 14% left on it, so let's hope that we get everything we need to on it. All right. I'm going to try to stop saying all right and so. Those seem to be the words that I edit out the most of my videos. Okay. And okay, that's another one. You don't realize the things that you repeat and you say until you have a vlog that's based around you talking to a microphone while you ride a beautiful Harley Davidson Fat Bob. All right. Okay. Welcome to the Millie Life. I am Danielle. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, click on that lovely Millie Life logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and make sure that you subscribe. I post new motorcycle videos every Wednesday and new training exercise videos every Friday. So subscribe and stay tuned. Today, we are going to be talking about how I got my dream bike. My first bike was a Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 XL. It was an old bike. Bought it off of Facebook Marketplace. We were the third owner of the bike. I was looking for a Sportster and wanted that 1200 just to have the bigger engine to get comfortable and learn with. As you guys have seen in the Why I Bought My Motorcycle video. If you haven't seen that, head on over back to my YouTube main page, and that's up there. But so anyways, learning on that was definitely, for those of you who played sports, hey, what up, man? That's a new Sportster? Not at all. So for those of you who played sports, you may be familiar with like a weighted basketball or a weighted puck. And that's what I feel like learning with the 2004 Harley Davidson Sportster was like. It was heavy. Super heavy. I was extremely inexperienced, and that really compacted how I moved and how I felt on the bike. Turns was a lot harder, especially tight turns, slow turns, which are tough in general as a rider, and they're still something that I work on all the time. Really heavy bike, beautiful bike, had those lovely Vance and Hines aftermarket exhaust on it. The chrome on it was beautifully tabbed. I mean, it was almost 20 years old, and it had, the chrome was basically untouched, no rust. We went on a whim one day. We both were having an adult day where there was just so much BS going on in both of our lives. So me and Matt went out to Quantico Harley Davidson, and we test rode one of the newer Sportsters, 2018 model. And guys, I don't know about any of you who have an older bike or started on an older bike, it felt like riding a bicycle. That is how light it felt. And that's not saying necessarily that there is a weight differential between the two, and maybe there is. I'll have to look into it. But just the way that the bike was made and the technology that was used, it felt way lighter. It seriously felt like a bike. It was so easy to turn and get up and move. We started looking for Sportsters, and we were going to pull the trigger on getting the 2018 or 2019 model. And then I thought, you know what? Like that and my bike are the only two bikes that I've ever test ridden. So we went back to Quantico, and I was like, all right, I want to test drive 3 bikes and see which one I like the best. So I test drove the Sportster again, because when we went the first time, the girl took us on like a 2-minute ride around the loop because the dealership was about to close. So we really didn't get a good, solid feel for it. So we took 3 bikes out, Sportster 2018 or 2019, a newer Iron 48, and then the Fat Bob 28. And I got to drive all 3. Sportster, again, still felt like a bicycle. So that was out. The Iron felt better, but still felt really pretty light and really easy to drive, which, you know, that's a good thing. I liked the handling on it. It felt like it had a little more power to it. It wasn't very comfortable, and I don't know if that was the particular seat or the foot controls of that particular bike. And then I tried the Fat Bob, and I freaking loved it. The price point was not where we wanted to be for that bike and what we were looking to do. We set out to sell my first bike and to get the new Fat Bob. We discovered that there was also a 107 version, which I would have been fine with, and that's just the size of the engine. That was a little less expensive. So one of our neighbors, Megan, she had sold her bike a couple months before. She contacted the same people that bought her bike, and they were interested in mine. So they drove up that weekend, bought the bike. Wonderful. Because in the meantime, we had found the Fat Bob at the price point we wanted, at least a lot closer than the one in Quantico. The color that I wanted, which was originally black. And I was so pumped. I was so excited to go see this bike. So we called the salesperson. We're like, we're coming today. This is how much money we have to put down. This is the payments that we want each month. Do you still have the bike in stock? And he said, yes. So we drove all the way out to Laurel, Maryland, which is about 2 hours. And we drove on Matt's bike. And so I was on the back. And on the way there, the sales guy called me 3 times. I'm like, oh, what is going on? So I finally call him back and get a hold of him. And he's like, hey, I just wanted to see what time you're going to be here just to get an ETA. I was like, okay. We'll be there in about an hour. Like, everything good? He's like, yeah, we'll see you soon. So we get to the dealership about an hour later, and this gentleman comes out, like, showing me and Matt the 2019 Fat Bob, which is not the Fat Bob we were looking for. He's like, here, it's 2019, it's in a matte color. I know you wanted the matte and black, but this one's a matte color, so it's similar. And I was like, what's going on? Like, where's the bike? He's like, well, I looked for it everywhere, and it turns out it sold this weekend. We had a big event, and the system didn't get updated, and so we were pissed. Like, why tell us to drive out there just to try to upsell us on a bike? And if you don't have the bike that we're looking for, to try to upsell us on a bike was his whole goal. He wanted to sell us something that was $10,000 more than what we were looking at. So he's like, well, I've seen crazier things happen with sales. They could probably get it down to the price point that you want. Like, okay, well, entertain me. And Matt at this point was so mad. He wasn't even inside. He was outside, like, F this. So they come back at $21,000, which, mind you, is like $10,000 over the older bike that I was looking at. So we laughed. We were pissed. I didn't have a motorcycle. We had the Bryson City trip coming up in a month, and I did not have a bike. So we scoured the internet. We called Harley Davidson in Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin. We called them all. Anyone who had the Fat Bob listed, we called. We looked at the shipping, looked at the quality of the bikes. My GoPro just died. So yesterday I went out with my GoPro on 15%. So I got about halfway through my story of buying the Fat Bob, and the GoPro died. So I continued with the audio, but I decided to re-vlog. I just like the idea of vlogging in real time with the video. I think it goes better together. Originally I thought about going back out and just recording the video from the spot. But so we were calling all these dealerships looking for the bike that I wanted. And this was a team effort. Matt seriously was not leaving any leaf unturned when it came to the bike. We were looking at anywhere that had the bike used. A couple of the dealers that got really close to the finish line with feeling down a deal, and then noticed that there was a giant dent on the gas tank. And that happened actually with 2 of them. And one of the guys, especially from Pennsylvania, was really cool. He was like, yeah, there is a dent in the tank. And like, if I was buying a new bike, even a used bike, that would be good to me. I would not want it to come with a dent in the tank. That has to drain all the gas out, and all that out, make sure it's completely gone before you bang out the dent, and then what happens if you break the tank or scratch the chain or cracks while you're doing that, right? It's a process. So we got to the finish line on 2 deals and noticed that at the last moment. Thank goodness, too. So we finally started talking to this dealership in Chicago, or not Chicago, St. Charles, Illinois, Fox River, Harley Davidson. And they had my bike. It was in white, the only thing that was different. And it was a rally bike. So they took it to a rally that they had every year in Wisconsin. And it has 2,700 miles on it. It is a 2019. And it was the lowest price by far. It was also the 114, which I had tried out at the Quantico Harley Davidson. So it was well in our price point, so dense, had a speaker, which I absolutely love. I didn't think that I would like that too much. I have a Senna, so I listen to music, but it just makes it a more immersive experience being able to jam out your music outside of your helmet. So we orchestrated the deal. Shipping was already included, and they shipped us our paperwork. It would be 2 weeks before the bike would get there, 2-3 weeks, and that would be perfect with the Bryson City trip. That would give me some time to get on the bike, to get acquainted with it, all those wonderful things. So I'm calling the dealership every couple of days to get an update, because nobody actually, after that point, provided any sort of update on the shipping, and I would never get an answer. Like, yeah, we'll notify you as soon as it ships, or, let me put you on hold, so-and-so. So I finally got a hold of a salesperson. He's like, yeah, it usually can take up to 6 weeks to ship the bike. We ship through a dealer who only ships motorcycles, or they don't ship until their truck is full. And that could be tomorrow, that could be in 5 or 6 weeks. So that timeline was not going to work with the Bryson City trip. So we orchestrated our own individual shipping. Harley Davidson funded us the shipping costs that we had paid, and we got it Sunday before we left for Bryson City. But at that time, we were on vacation visiting my family. So Matt tried to surprise me and say that the bike wasn't coming and that he wanted us to arrive home and for it. So got my bike, rode around on it. The first night was kind of a shit show. Luckily, it was still summer, so we were able to get Mateo to sleep and then go out and work on the bike a little bit and have some flight. So I took it out on the road, loved it. About halfway through my trip, I started noticing that it was shifting into higher gear. Then it would downshift, and so Matt took it out, noticed the same thing, and then we're both scratching our heads, what the actual fuck? What just happened? Well, a lot of people warned us don't buy a bike sight unseen without riding it and all that. We pulled up YouTube, we started oil and lube the clutch, and then what finally did the trick was we put some WD-40 on the lever that connects the clutch pedal and the actual clutch. And we woke up the next morning. I had plans to take it into the Bull Run Harley Davidson because I needed a functioning bike because we were leaving in 2 days. So I was on my way to the Harley Davidson to get the bike looked at, and the gears were working, shifting through beautifully. So I called Matt, super excited, and I was all right, well, ride it around more and make sure it's working. And thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I have not had a problem with it since. The bike is in pristine condition when we got it. And the only thing that was off about it is all of the bolts, the screws, and any of the chrome on it was oxidated or rusted. And I don't know if that's just Harley Davidson's make of those particular parts, or if it was how the bike was treated by the one owner it had, or any of that. But what we think is that that lever was so oxidated and so rusty that it just didn't have enough oil to really move well. That is something that I am going to look to replace eventually. But I've been riding the bike since September. And it's been going strong. As you guys know, took her to Bryson City. I've added a ton of upgrades since. And just a really cool experience. Matt and I talked about looking for bikes for people as a little side hustle, because we did enjoy the taste of finding a really good deal on the bike that we wanted. We haven't done anything since then. So.
Thank you so much for those of you who tuned in. My GoPro ran out of memory, so I'm fixing that right now. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, and I'll see you guys real soon.